Howdy. It's been quite a while since I talked to a camera. I recently received a bunch of packages, clearly, from my friends at Meinl and my new friends at SE Electronics. And so I figured I might as well make an unboxing because it's been a while since I've opened boxes, and opening boxes is actually one of my favorite things to do, believe it or not. It's almost more fun than the stuff that comes in them. Big box guy. But this will probably be a two-part video. I'm probably gonna do the microphones in one video with a demo and then the cymbals in another video. So let's start with the microphones and let's see what we got. So first things first, gonna have a cola, because what goes together better than cola in boxes? Delicious. So before I open this motherfucker up, I just want to talk a little bit about how this came to be and my experience with SE microphones so far. So the first time I heard about SE microphones was probably about 5 years ago. I was working at a music store at the time, and I started to get a lot of customers asking specifically about the drum microphones. So that was the first time I heard about them. Fast forward a couple years later, I went on my first tour ever, and Matt Andrews, who now does Sound for Knock Loose actually, had brought a bunch of SE microphones on tour. So I used them on that tour. Fast forward a few more months after that, and the next time I used them was on my first Spite tour, actually. That was with my friend Brian Sankis, who actually works for Slipknot, believe it or not. It's pretty fucking cool. He swore by these things. He used them on my kit, and they sounded fucking great every night, and they're really compact, and the mic clips were sick, which if you're a working drummer or a studio person that records drums a lot, you know that mic clips on toms are a fucking nightmare. More on that in a minute. But yeah, so Brian introduced me to using these for that whole tour, and I loved them. About a year later, I went on tour again with Spite, and we hired another sound guy that we hadn't worked with before, but he was a friend of Brian Sankis's. He brought out a whole set of SE microphones, and they once again were absolutely phenomenal. Beyond that, I had used them with other sound guys in between. I mean, to be honest, I'd kind of seen them everywhere, and I loved them, and I wasn't totally happy with the mic setup I had at home. Then I built this fucking monstrosity, and I did not have enough microphones to mic the whole thing anyways, so I figured it was a good time to reach out to Brian and see if he could maybe set me up with SE and try out some shit. That's the backstory to how I got introduced to SE and why we're here today opening up boxes and drinking cola. I'm very excited to get these motherfuckers on my kit. Shall we? Delightful. I sorted this out like a week ago, and I don't actually entirely remember what's in here, so you're gonna find out with me. I can't be the only person that like fucking loves these things. Holy fucking ADHD. Anyways, microphones. One more. All right, let's see what we got. There's a lot of shit in this box. So that's a couple microphones in front of us. I guess it makes sense because, again, this ridiculous monstrosity. All right, so first up, and probably most exciting, at least to me, most likely just because it's the biggest box, these are gonna be my overhead mics. I'm not a huge microphone nerd, but I've only ever really used like pencil condensers for my overheads. So having these big bad boys is pretty exciting just because I like to try new things, and I've heard great things about these. I've seen them used on a number of setups, studio and live. So let's open them up, take a look at what we got. Actually, I don't really know how big they are, but I mean, based on this box, they look pretty big, so let's check it out. Oh shit, no way. All right, well, that's pretty fucking cool. They come with a full-on case, which, I don't know, I wasn't expecting that, so that's pretty cool. Let's do the money shot. I don't even know what it's gonna look like on the inside, but let's do it for the camera. Does it look good? I don't know, I can't see it yet. Those are certainly microphones. Wow, heavy, goddamn. That is beautiful. So they're actually not too big. I thought they were gonna be bigger.
That's what she said.
Doesn't really matter because they're overheads, but they're actually quite compact, more compact than I thought. They also come with the shock mounts to mount them. And I feel like I don't need to explain what a shock mount is to people, but I will give you a quick breakdown in case you don't know. So it's basically just suspended so that there's no vibrations interfering with what the microphone's picking up, which actually is beneficial. Vibrations do travel and sometimes even rattle like my camera when I'm filming, so I'm sure that would have an effect on the microphones I'm using, so that's actually kind of sick. Cool, yeah, so now that I got that tightened in there, that is not going anywhere. Very excited to see what these sound like, especially with the beautiful array of cymbals I have on this drum kit. Once again, these are the SE4100 matched pair condensers. Next up, we have the V-Beat tom and snare mics. These are the main mics that drew my attention to SE in the first place. Not just because they sounded sick, but because they were really compact in their size, which I'm a big nerd about because I always have a ton of like splash cymbals and stacks and shit up front. And it drives me insane when the mics like have the cable sticking way out and you have your XLR and you have to raise your splashes a bunch. These, just looking at them, I was immediately interested. Very excited to get my hands on these finally. And I should mention that last couple tours that I did with Spite, our sound guy was putting one of these on my snare, which I at first was kind of not sure about. I just never had somebody put one on my snare before, and it was so small, I was just wondering how it was gonna sound, and I hit pretty hard, so like the threshold at which they can handle. I was curious, but literally like could not tell the difference. Sounded fucking insane. I'm not gonna open all of these because they're all gonna be the exact same, but we're gonna open one mic and one of the clamps to mount them and take a look at that. Fuck. God, I love cola. And I love good microphones. Speaking of good microphones, the V-Beat. So we get a sticker. As a ADHD man, I really fucking ride for any company that gives me a sticker in the box. I'm gonna suggest you go buy these just based on this alone before anything else, but I'm sure we can come up with a couple more reasons in a sec here, so let's check out what else we got. Look how small this thing is, itty bitty. I love that the XLR port is on the bottom, so the XLR goes into like this, and it's mounted on your rims, so this is like as much room it takes up. It's absolutely beautiful. The little like red mesh filter they have in the inside too, I think it just looks fucking cool. I mean, on my Spite kit, everything is. So I just talked for like another 10 minutes without realizing that my camera had turned off or overheated, so that's super cool. But basically, yeah, we unboxed the mount, which is right here. I'll show you without the mic on it. So that is it. Super simple, which is great, but it's super effective. So it basically just has this little arm that goes up and down and clamps to a hoop like a normal rim clamp would, but it's really heavy duty plastic, which is really great if you're touring and taking on and off your kit every night. Can't really say like enough good things about it, but also like not much to say. It's literally just a microphone mount. SE absolutely killed it on this. It allows you to like adjust the tilt of your microphone in and out without adjusting the height, or you can keep the angle you want and adjust the height independently. Again, having the XLR on the bottom really just like minimizes the amount of room that these things take up, and it's gonna allow you to have your splash cymbals very close, or whatever else is around these, ride cymbal, hi-hat, whatever. They also have really good rear rejection, which is awesome because I always am the sound guy's worst nightmare with my cymbal placement. No matter what, there's always a shitload of bleed. These seem to do the best as far as rejection goes with those cymbals, especially with how hard I hit them. All around, super clean setup. I'm gonna have these on all of my rack toms and my snare. Let's take a look at what else we got next. Fuck, I love cola. Next up, we have 5 V-kicks, and you might be wondering, why the fuck do you have 5 kick drum mics? Now that is a valid question, and I'm gonna answer it in a second. But my first question and response to that would be, why the fuck don't you have 5 kick drums or 5 kick drum microphones? That's what I thought. I've been using these on my floor toms live, which have been amazing, but they also sound fucking incredible in the kick drum. Brian suggested that I just fucking use them for all of them, so fuck it. We got 5 kick drum microphones in front of us. So I'm gonna be using 1 per kick drum, 2 kick drums obviously, because that's why wouldn't you be using 2 kick drums? And then I'm gonna have 3 floor toms. Well, technically 2 floor toms and a gong drum, which I use as a floor tom, whatever. But yeah, we're gonna have one of these on each of those. The floor tom ones are going to be mounted using the same mounts as the tom mic, the V-clamp. Again, very big fan of those. Let's open one of these up and take a look. Another sticker. Really just gonna suggest you go buy SE products just for the stickers. I mean, I'm sure other companies put a sticker in the box as well, but their microphones also aren't as good or as sick or cool looking or as well designed. So, I don't know, man, just consume. All right, there it is. Yeah, once again, basically the exact same design as the V-Beat, just a bit bigger, I guess. Internally, obviously, a different capsule. Another thing that's very cool about the V-Kick is it has these settings on the back for the EQ. I don't know if you can see those. Again, not a big audio nerd, at least yet. I haven't quite spent enough time really fucking around with recording to fully understand all of it, but I know that a ton of guys I've worked with have loved that these switches are there because they kind of allow you to EQ the kick a little bit before it gets to the board. That's a really sick feature to have, and I know that I'm going to be messing around with it myself. This is what the microphone will look like on the V-clamp. Honestly, you probably could convince me that this was just a normal tom microphone if I didn't know at least a little bit better, because with the XLR on the bottom, it looks super clean, doesn't really come off like a kick mic. But if you have a stand going straight into your kick drum and you do need to mount it straight out, the angle will allow for that. It actually has a crazy range of angles, so pretty insane design. I'll show you real quick what these are gonna look like on a drum along with the V-Beat. I mean, I don't know what else you'd expect this to look like, but yeah, this is what they look like on the drum. Again, super clean, have your cymbals super low if you want. I mean, you could even get this much lower if you really wanted. And the XLRs coming from the bottom is absolutely fucking sick. So excited to get these on my drums and literally never worry about them ever again. Shabong. Next up, I have 2 SE7s. These are going to be for my hi-hat and ride spot mics. Nothing too crazy, little pencil condensers, but small and effective. Basically all you need out of a fucking spot mic, so let's check it out. Damn, we got that big SE sticker in here. All right, that's kind of cool. All right. So something I actually forgot about was the fact that this is not just a regular SE7 that they sent me. This is the SE7 side address, which I believe is actually not out. SE7 side fire is what it's called. Basically, instead of pointing it directly at what you need to point it at, it can basically just be positioned 90 degrees to what you need it to be looking at. So yeah, these are not out yet as far as I understand. Very cool. Again, makes for a little bit more of a compact design. If I have like my hi-hat and something else above it or whatever, sneak in there real tight. Nothing else too crazy in the box. Comes with a little fucking filter and a mic clip. It looks like this also has a switch for decibel gain, and again, another little EQ switch to just kind of change the color. Super stoked to be one of the first people to get my hands on these. I'm really bad about actually setting up spot mics on my hi-hat and ride because I'm dumb and forget, or I don't have room for them because the mics I previously had took up a shitload of space. So excited to get these on the kit and once and for all make my life easier, make my drums sound better. All right, so that's actually it as far as the unboxing goes, but I think we should put these on the kit and see how they sound, because why would I not do that? So by the time I finish sipping this cola here, the microphones are gonna be on the kit and set up, and we're gonna do a little demo. Let's take a look. It's been a couple days since we did the unboxing, but we've got all the fucking mics set up on the kit and everything is sounding very good. Super stoked so far, so I'll show you in a second what it sounds like. But first, let's take a look to see what it all looks like. Okay, well, first of all, we got this absolute graveyard of boxes from opening the rest of the mics. So in the kick drums, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but we've got the V-kicks on both of them. On all the toms, we've got the V-beats mounted on the V-clamps, which are super sick. They actually fit just perfectly between the StarCast hoop and the die-cast on the Thomas Star Classics, which is sick. Not a lot of mics actually can clip in there. There's there. And then on the floors, we have the V-kicks once again. Same deal with the 14 over there. You can't really see it from here, but that's all right. This one's not mounted on a V-clamp because it's on the gong drum, which actually doesn't have a regular hoop. So this one is just mounted to my rack. And then up on the overheads, we have the 4100s, like so. And then on each side of the kit, we have the SE7 side address mics. picking up both hi-hats and both rides since there's double on both sides. I would love to have individual spot mics for each hi-hat and each ride, but I simply do not have enough inputs for that currently. So, you know, I think for now I probably have enough shit. So I kind of did that to myself. I actually have all my overheads mounted to a rack bar that's screwed to the ceiling, which keeps the floor nice and clean. Ish. I mean, I'm not the most cleanly person. Again, we have the V-beat on the snare as well as the toms. This thing sounds fucking insane on the snares. Highly recommend, but you'll see what I mean in a minute. One thing I didn't think about was the fact that on the front of this kit, I have a bunch of cymbals overhead in the middle, which I don't normally have. These three guys here. So just in case I need a little bit of boost with these guys, I used one more overhead just in the center up here. It's just one of my old Aston mics, but I definitely would like to replace that with another one of the side address microphones like I have on the hi-hats on the ride. Probably just mounted like down here somewhere. I can only ask so much of SC at once, so for now, I mean, I think I'm more than happy with what I've got. So first thing we're gonna check out is the V-beats and the V-kicks on the toms as well as the snare. So let's see what they sound like. Amazing, love them. Super punchy, super clear. Real quick without gates on, I'm gonna show you the rejection that it has with my splashes up here. Same goes for the V-kicks on the floor toms and my hi-hats and rides on both sides. Super solid rejection. One of the most important things in a microphone to me, at least on a tom. So next we've got the V-beat spot mic on the left side of my kit with my hi-hat and my left ride. So I'll real quick go through those and show you what they sound like just with those recording. Now we have the right side of the kit with my main ride and my auxiliary hi-hat. So we're just gonna do the spot mic on this side by itself. All right, now we'll take a look at the kick drum mics using the V-kicks and the kick drum. They're super punchy, especially with that little onboard EQ thing that they have. I've really not had to do a lot to get them to sound good, and I will show you raw audio so you just get an idea of what they sound like just by themselves. No triggers, nothing. Let's check it out. So this one's just gonna be overheads. I primarily have them positioned just to pick up cymbals, just because I don't really know what I'm doing as far as phase goes. So I'm kind of opting for more of a spot mic situation rather than capturing the whole kit in the overheads. So show you what that sounds like with just the overheads turned on. All right, finally, the last thing I'm gonna do is just show you guys what the whole thing sounds like with all the mics all together. I haven't used any plugins or anything crazy. This is literally just like messing with the levels and the input gain, raw audio, and you kind of get an idea of what these mics sound like and probably why I like them so much. So let's check that out. All right, so that's just about gonna do it for this video. At the end of the day, I'm not really a big audio nerd, but that's kind of the point. I'm not an expert in microphones or any of that. I just wanted microphones that I knew sounded good out of the box and could stand up. And I've toured with these things. I have pretty bad aim sometimes on tour, and I've definitely smoked my fair share of SE mics, and I've never had one break on me, which is kind of impressive because I've literally decapitated microphones from other brands before. So I think based just on these demos, I think you will see why I like these mics so much. On top of that, I haven't even like really spent a lot of time tuning up this kit. I just kind of threw them on. I haven't touched these heads since I installed them like 2 months ago. So who knows what this kit could sound like with these microphones on it once I tune up the heads and fuck around with the placements a little more and probably throw a couple little plugins and EQs on there. I'm really excited. I'm so stoked that SE was down to work with me on this one. And these mics will be featured in a ton of videos moving forward. I don't really see a reason why I would put anything else on my kit since I have a full set of these now. So basically indefinitely, if you want to see what these mics are sounding like, go to my Instagram and take a look. I'll have that link down in the bio, and I'm excited to make more videos with these things. So once again, huge shout out to Brian for hooking me up with SE, and for SE for being down to work with me and for making sick ass fucking products. That's gonna do it for this one, and I will be back with part 2 with the cymbal unboxing very soon. Peace.